is the Wannabe Saints podcast, where we take virtues and try to break them down so they become tangible and applicable to your life.
We aren't here to bring you advice, we're here to bring you virtue. I'm Jordan.
And I'm Rachel.
We're your hosts,
and this is Wannabe Saints. Welcome back to Wannabe Saints, everybody. It's Rachel, and I'm so glad you're here for part 2 of my sister Katie's story, her journey from rebellion to redemption. In this half, you'll hear what shook her faith, how she got through it, and how God can take what often feels like a mess to us and turn it into something beautiful. You'll see how the 3 theological virtues of faith, hope, and charity are still active in her life, how hope is her anchor, and how she had to choose faith even when she was struggling to trust in God, and how she lives out charity through all the work she does now. I hope her story continues to impact you as much as it has me, and so with that, enjoy part 2.
But I do have a very real time where my faith did feel shaken, and it was when Steve was going through cancer, right? Here we are, early in our marriage, young, we've got 3 kids, a dream for more kids, and he gets diagnosed with cancer, and now all of a sudden, our entire world is just flipped, right?
Mm-hmm.
I didn't see that coming. I don't know. Maybe Steve had wonderings of what was going on if it was cancer. But once we found out definitively he had cancer, I was now, my whole outlook on my future was radically shaken. Now all the things you're just planning on happening, dreaming of happening, like knowing we're going to do X, Y, and Z is now a question. Where is this going? What's at the end of this cancer road? Is it life or is it not life? What is this journey going to bring us? What does this journey look like? I would, what I vividly think of with that time is I would go running in our neighborhood. I would go for a jog and I would just cry while running. And I would be saying, Jesus, I trust in you. Jesus, I trust in you. Thinking about this cancer situation with Steve. Mm-hmm. And I would be crying while saying that. And I'm saying these words out of my mouth out loud, but not really feeling it in my heart. I felt a total lack of confidence in where God was taking us. Mm-hmm. Are you good? Can I trust you? Are you taking him away from me? Mm-hmm. Will we have any more kids? You know, all of these things, questions going on in my mind. So even though I'm saying, Jesus, I trust in you, I was saying that as an act of faith because I did not feel that way.
Yeah.
I was telling myself that Jesus can be trusted even though I don't feel that way, right? Because he cares for me. He loves me more than I can love. He loves Steve more than I love Steve. And so I would just, anyway, that was a time where I just really dove deep in. I knew I needed God. I needed him, even though I felt scared,
Yeah. No, thank you for sharing that. And now you have 6.
Yes, and yes, praise God, all things turned out right.
Yeah.
All things turned out good for Steve, and we had 3 more children after that.
Yeah. It's amazing. Okay, so going back to mission and vocation, what brought you into youth ministry?
Well, so my college time was one of deep, deep valleys and then high mountains, real painful experiences, but then real redemptive experiences. And so the next piece I needed in my life was to really fall in love with the Lord. Not that I knew I needed that, but that did come for me through going back to Italy. After my semester in Rome, I came home feeling like that chapter was not finished. It felt still very open. There was more to come. And so there would be more to that experience, but I didn't know what that meant. I had always wanted to do the Peace Corps after college. I always was staunch in my mind that when college was done, I was going to do some sort of missionary work. And I pictured that being the Peace Corps. But after studying in Rome, I felt like, no, it's going back to Rome. So after graduating, I had applied to go work at the university that I had studied abroad at, and I was hired. So I had signed a 1-year contract to go back to that campus, but now I was in a new role. And I was like an RA because I was living amongst the students who were studying abroad. I was also a student activities coordinator. So I helped plan on-campus and off-campus events for the students. And so that is what taught me how to plan travel in an international environment. But anyway, it was that year that truly had a significant impact on my faith, because now I was no longer steeped in these dark cyclical sins. I was living my life in a new way. Without these chains of binge drinking and all that, and the other sins that were in my life, I was free and had a new lens. And so I had a real desire to seize the opportunity that was before me in terms of just taking in as much as I could. And in a specific way, all things that related to the faith. I was so hungry. I was I could not get enough. What church had I not seen? What saint, what relic was in Rome that I hadn't experienced or seen yet or didn't know of? And one of the blessings was there's an American seminary in Rome called the NAC, the North American College. So different dioceses throughout the U.S. will send some of their seminarians there to study and get their seminary formation there. Well, some of those young men were assigned to our university campus as an internship. It's called an apostolate. So we had 3 seminarians who were assigned to our university to help do ministry of whatever sort. They would host theology nights, discussions. They would come help facilitate a holy hour or a praise and worship, just prayer session. They would just come on campus and help bring some faith experiences on campus. Well, I was so attracted to these young men in a healthy way,
their faith.
Right, their faith.
Yeah.
Right. I was dating Steve.
You were drawn to that.
Yes. Right. I was already dating Steve, and we were in a, committed relationship at that time, talking marriage, all these things. I just wanted to be in the presence of these guys to learn from them. I loved their joy. Mm-hmm. Their joy was oh my gosh, give me a piece of that. Mm-hmm. And so I just wanted to talk to them. I wanted to learn from them. I had so many questions, and they'd already been living there, so they knew of things and places in Rome that I didn't. Tell me about that. Where is that? And they would coordinate their own little excursions. And anyway, one of the things, a tradition they have at the seminary is during Lent, they have this tradition of what's called the station churches. And every single day of Lent, they walk from their seminary to a different church in Rome and have morning mass. And some of these churches in Rome, not every church is open to the public. Some of these churches, this is the only way you're going to see that church, is for this particular mass or whatever. And so I was sign me up. So I had to get up before sunrise, super early, and even earlier probably than the guys did, because I had to get up, get on a bus, take that bus down into their neighborhood, walk to their seminary. So I was there at the door or the gate at the time that they were all coming out. And so I would do that. And I would join them on that walk. And as we walked to the church, we would pray the rosary. And then we got to the church, and it was mass, and then the guys had to go to class or whatever, and everyone started their day from there. And I did that as many days as I possibly could. And every day off that I had from work, I was looking to make a little pilgrimage, in Rome. What churches can I see today? What holy site can I go to? And then calling home and sharing, my experiences with the family. And that is where that year is where everything changed for me. I just fell deeply in love with the Lord, mm-hmm. and became very passionate about our Catholic faith. And the catalyst of that was these seminarians, but then the other piece of that was this proximity to so many holy sites.
Which 2 seminarians that you met there were Father Trowbridge and Father Romke, who have been on this podcast.
Our most recent guest.
Yes, they were both seminarians in Rome when I was working in Rome. Yeah, and actually, I literally met Father Romke. He was not even a deacon yet. I met him one of those mornings going to Mass at one of the station churches, praying the rosary, and I happened to be walking next to him, and I had never met him before. And so, we had a little side conversation, like, where are you from? And he's going, I'm from the Diocese of Rockford. And I was like, what? No, I'm from the Diocese of Rockford. And he was like, no, I'm from the Diocese of Rockford. We're like, that's amazing. And so anyway, that's literally the seedbed of our friendship.
Yeah,
was that.
It's amazing.
It was there.
That's
anyway,
amazing.
So that was the catalyst of, faith.
That's awesome.
For sure.
And then, so you studied in Rome, your faith became alive, and you graduated college and you were a teacher for a little bit. And then after you were a teacher, was it while you were a teacher or right after you were a teacher that you started youth ministry?
Oh, yeah. Sorry that you had asked me about that.
No, you're totally fine.
That's then where youth ministry came into my life, was after that, because I came home, and needed a job. And I did get a job as a teacher, but I really wanted to, I was then super, super passionate about the faith and all that I had learned. And I just really wanted to share that. And, and I was young and full of tons of energy. And I mean, I still have lots of energy. I'm still young too.
Yeah, you are. You are.
But that's in our parish, couldn't hire a youth minister. Dad had been doing it, and he wanted out. And so I was like, yeah, I'll do it. And it was a volunteer thing. So I was happy to take over and help do that.
Yeah.
So that was the start of me doing that.
How long did you do the youth ministry for?
Yeah, so I don't even actually know. I did it for maybe 4 years, 5 years.
You did it for a while.
No, you
did it for, I think, longer.
I mean, 5 years is still a long time.
No, but I think it's even longer than that. Because
I was kind of in phases, because I did help do it. Yeah. And then when I quit teaching is when I really ramped up youth ministry, volunteering. And so then I was doing it for the 2 parishes. I was volunteering and doing a combined youth ministry for 2 parishes. And I really put a lot of effort into that.
You did, because I did it as a paid position, and I was like, this is hard.
Yes.
Trying to reach the teens that don't really have faith. You had a gift, you have a gift, because I struggled with that.
Yeah, I don't know. I did it for a number of years until Johnny came along, and he's my number 3. When I had baby number 3 is when I kind of hit my breaking point of wait, I'm not really doing all things well.
Yeah.
And I kept telling myself, no, it'll get better. When he's 3 months old, it'll feel better. It'll feel better. And life still felt crazy. And then I was like, okay, when he hits 6 months old, it will feel better. I will be in a groove and it will be better. And when 6 months came and things still felt crazy, I said, okay, I have to stop. And that was super hard for me to let go, but I just felt like I was a sinking ship. And so I had to step out of doing that.
Yeah.
And did you stop teaching right when you had Olivia? Is that what it was?
I taught for 1 year after having her.
Okay.
And that felt so painful for me to drop her off every day and not be with her. The desire of my heart was to be home with my baby, but Steve was still finishing school, so it wasn't an option for us. I was the only one making money. I had to go to work. But our mom was so generous because she helped watch Olivia during that time, but it was just so hard.
Yeah.
So in that 1 year of working after having Olivia, Steve thankfully graduated and got his first job. And so I was just like, can I please quit working? And he was like, no, how are we ever going to buy a house? And I was like, please, will you just pray about it, please? And then we went out on a date one night. I remember this so vividly. We went out and he said, so I want to let you know that I have, in fact, been praying about it, about you quitting your job and staying home. And he kind of wanted to let you know that you can. And I was like, what? Really? Oh my gosh. Yay! I was so excited.
So cute.
Yeah, it
That's
was
awesome.
like incredible. But it's funny how it goes because that was what I desired, right?
Mm-hmm.
But when it came down to actually like submitting my letter of resignation saying I was leaving from my teaching position and packing up my classroom, I felt like I was having an identity crisis. As I was like putting all the stuff in the boxes to clean out my classroom.
It's like shedding a chapter of your life.
It was more than that. I was like saying to myself, well, who am I? If you're not a teacher, then who are you? What am I? I'm just a mom? What? I went to school. I got a degree.
Yeah.
I totally felt like an identity crisis. Like now I didn't know who I was anymore. But, and I've encouraged other moms who've been in that place of trying to decide, should I quit my job and stay home or keep working or whatever? And it takes me back to that moment, I remember those feelings, feeling so insecure and debating in my mind. But no one is ever going to love your baby like you love your baby. There's no one on this earth who can love your baby like you do.
Yep.
And you will never regret, being there for your kid.
Right.
Even though it's a difficult decision to walk away from that, but you also don't know what God has for you.
Right.
Right? Like I could have never known all that God would have in my life or call me to in my life. It's not through the classroom teaching in that way, but like he's called me to other things through quitting, right?
Which is where this charity part of this conversation comes in. The reason of talking to you about your vocation and your mission is, your faith moved you into building community, raising children, being there for teens, planning pilgrimages for people to be evangelized and see the history of the church. All like you quitting that even just allowed, you started a pilgrimage company.
Yeah.
And that evolved out of youth ministry because your first trip was for youth ministry.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. It's just really incredible. Like it's just how God works, right? After that time in Italy, on the conclusion of that year, like I had been sharing so many stories with mom and dad at home about like saints, relics, holy places, whatever. I was sharing all these stories, and then dad would share these stories with his confirmation class that he was teaching at the time. And then a kid in that class piped up and said, well, hey, you're sharing all these stories with us. Can't we go there? Like, why can't we go there? And so then dad was like, yeah, I mean, I don't see why not. Maybe we could do a trip, Yeah. So he calls me when I'm still working in Italy, and he's like, so Kate, do you think you could like plan a trip for our parish here at home? And I was like, I don't know. Yeah, I'll try. Why not? Yeah, sure. I'll do it. And so that was my very first pilgrimage
and I was 11 years old.
Oh,
on that.
Oh, that's so cute. You were so little.
I got to go on your first one.
Hadn't you been on a lot of them since?
Yeah.
Yeah. But anyway, so like when I came home and started working as a teacher, and then I quit, and I'm like being a mom, and all this time I thought, wouldn't that be so cool to have a pilgrimage business? It was like my pipe dream that I never thought would be a reality. I was like, I don't know how you do that, but that would be cool. And then it was once I quit teaching, I had been staying at home and I was pregnant with number 2. Yeah, like I woke up one morning really early, and for anyone who knows me, I am not a morning person. I'm a total night owl. I am often sending emails at midnight and 1 a.m. because that's when I get my best work done. But this day I woke up super early, and I had so much going on in my mind that was like super intense and vivid. I woke up with the name of a company and a pilgrimage itinerary, like where it was going to go and the dates it was going to go, where, all this was happening. And I was like, well, this is crazy and this is weird. Why is this on my mind? I know this is a dream of mine in my heart, but this is a weird dream that it's so intense. But I couldn't fall back asleep. So I went downstairs and I just started praying. And I sat in my living room and I looked at the crucifix and I just said to the Lord, I don't know, is this you, Lord, or is this me? Like these ideas going on, is this you or is this me? And I didn't know. But what I did know is this intensity, these thoughts, like did not go away. Every day I was waking up with this still on my mind in an intense way. And it turned into a feeling of like compulsion. I needed to start planning this trip. And I shared all this with Steve. I'm like, this is so weird, Steve. I don't know. I think I need to plan this trip. And he was like, okay. So I'm like Googling, how do you start a business? I didn't even know. How do you start a business? So that's what I started doing. I started figuring out how to start a business. I started planning this trip for these dates. And I'm like, okay, I'm going to have this pilgrimage. And I'm like, how do you find people to go? So I did what was natural in my mind. I called my pastor. And I said, hi, I have this pilgrimage to Italy for these dates. I'm wondering if you're interested in hosting this trip. And he said, no. And I was like, great. So what do I do now? I'll call the next parish. So I called the neighbor parish and I left a voicemail that said, I don't know, this probably sounds crazy, but I have this trip to Italy for these dates. It's going to these places. Are you interested in hosting? And the priest called me back and said, yes. And I was like, oh, I'm having a pilgrimage.
That's amazing.
And that was my first one. And the business that was in my mind from that intense first moment was For His Glory Tours. And so that is when For His Glory Tours was born in 2012, my very first pilgrimage to Italy. And then I thought, when that was all done, that was great. I don't know when I'll ever do that again. And this is the other weird part to my story and this is how the Lord works with me. He works with me in a lot of really intense, he has to slap me in the face, really, is what he has to do because I'm so dense. Yeah.
He's like, here's the idea.
Seriously. That's how God has to work in my life.
He's like, you won't do it unless it smacks you in the face.
It's so true. Katie, you are really bad at listening. So I will smack you in your forehead. So then here we are, fast forward 6 months later, it's Christmas time. And I, at this point, had my second baby. She was born and I woke up really early in the morning with a compulsion to write a Christmas letter. Isn't that weird? I had never written a Christmas letter in my life. I send Christmas cards to people, but I never wrote a letter. But I felt on that day, I must write a letter. And so I sat at the computer and I wrote a letter. And the reason in the letter, I shared what had happened during the last year of my life. And so I shared. This year, I started a pilgrimage business called For His Glory Tours, and I took a group of 32 people to Italy, and that was a beautiful experience. So excited, like a dream come true for me. Whatever, share that in the letter. I also shared about, Steve and my kids, and I mailed that out with my Christmas cards. And then this one day, post-Christmas, I'm going to Target to run my errands, and I just park in the parking lot, and my phone rings. And it's a priest friend of mine who is so dear to me, who I love so much. And I met him at the NAC when he was studying there and I was working there, and he's up in Minnesota. And I was just like so excited. He was calling and I was like, hey, Father Tom, oh my gosh, how are you? He was like, hey, Katie, I got your letter. He's like, really neat to read about you started a business. And I'm like, yeah, I know, it's so crazy, but yet so exciting. And then I said to him, I don't know when I'll ever do one of those again, but it's up to God, I guess. And he said to me, I have been praying and asking God to bring me a pilgrimage company that would do pilgrimage how I long for in my heart. And I'm wondering if you would be willing to do a pilgrimage for me. And I was like, oh my gosh, I'm doing another pilgrimage. Yes.
That's so amazing.
I know.
I love it.
I know. It was so incredible. And so anyway, that was my second pilgrimage to Italy with Father Tom. And he is exactly what I needed. Father Tom had a vision for pilgrimage, for how pilgrimage was to be done. And it was different than what is going on in the market, right? What's in the market is like going on a religious trip. It's a vacation that has mass each day, and we maybe say a rosary or whatever, maybe if it fits.
Mm-hmm.
But his vision was that pilgrimage is meant to be a retreat. It's meant to be a radical encounter with the Lord.
Mm-hmm.
That you should go, when you go on a pilgrimage, you should not be coming home the same person. It is a religious experience
Mm-hmm.
combined with a retreat. And it's this super powered encounter.
Yeah.
And
Mass every day, adoration every night.
yes,
You're
right.
doing
So it's
holy,
exactly.
the liturgy of the hours.
Yes.
All that.
It's the whole experience is just wrapped in prayer.
Mm-hmm.
You start your day with prayer, you end your day with prayer, and prayer is what's happening in between. And it does, yes, like you said, it does include daily mass, but the real kicker is we do a holy hour every single night. And and I had never experienced that before, but that's what Father Tom had on his heart. And so that is what I did. He taught me like that model. And then that's what we did for 4 pilgrimages in a row. Like 1 pilgrimage a year for like 4 or 5 years. And I wasn't sure if I'd ever do a pilgrimage with anyone else because I wasn't like putting myself out there to advertise. I'm raising babies, you know? I can't really handle,
A
much
lot
in a year.
Yeah.
Like 2 pilgrimages maybe.
Right, like leaving your
right?
family. Yeah.
Yeah, that's like really taxing on my spouse, on my family. I need a lot of help. And so I was like, I don't know, maybe Forest Glory Tours exists just for Father Tom. I don't know, but then I had another priest ask me to do a pilgrimage. And so now I had 2 priests, and then I had another priest ask me to do a pilgrimage. And so anyway, it's turned into more than that. But now the way that Father Tom decided desired for pilgrimage to be is what For His Glory Tours does and is, right? That has become what this pilgrimage business is about.
Yeah.
For
And
His
it's
glory.
very different than what is out there.
Yeah.
I mean, the one that Jordan and I met on was very different than the one that we just went on with you to Ireland.
Yeah.
So, and I already knew that it was different, but that was her first time getting to experience a pilgrimage.
Right.
One of your pilgrimages.
Yeah. And, I'm a small, like, one-man band. I have a couple people who will help lead a pilgrimage for me when I can't be present physically. I try to go on all the pilgrimages that I do myself, but sometimes there's one where I can't because of my family.
Which is where I maybe step in
right?
sometimes.
So Rachel has led a couple pilgrimages for me. I have another great friend up in Minnesota who has also helped with pilgrimages. But anyway, I'm not saying my pilgrimages are perfect. I'm super imperfect. I have a lot to learn, and so they have bumps within them. But overall, that the model stays the same.
No, you are gifted at it though. Like when you are in your element when you are on pilgrimage, and that is something that I got to
adapt to all the changes that need to happen too. Like,
yeah.
I don't know. I felt like it just felt seamless. It was like, all right, we got to skip this thing, but like we're just gonna keep on moving. That's cool. And you just figured it out.
Thanks for
very seamlessly.
No, you just you are gifted at it.
Thank you. But that's a part of my life and ministry. Yeah.
Yeah. So now that you're a mother of 6, how do you feel that your journey has shaped your parenting and who you are as a mom?
I will not have the wool pulled over my eyes. Because I was the queen of that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, like our poor mama, she's just so good-hearted, and she is such a good girl herself growing up, right? Mom is just so pure-hearted.
She is.
Yes. And
which is why she gets these heavenly inspirations to go and bless you or to go and pray and do something or to, gosh, that woman.
Yeah, she's just, right.
A modern day saint.
She's just so like in tune to the Lord, right? And so, but that's like who she was through her life. So like she wasn't a naughty girl or she wasn't rebellious or anything like that. And so she went into her life of family life, raising kids, having the best of intentions and thoughts towards like us and who we were. But that isn't the reality of who I was, right? I was totally the rebel, pushing the limits and all those things. And I was also persuasive in covering my choices with good stories or manipulating, right? I had really good stories for convincing mom to say yes on something that I really wanted. And anyway, because of all those experiences, I feel like I am eyes wide open as my kids go into the teen years. But I think what matters more is I possess a great aptitude for compassion and understanding.
Mm-hmm. I was going to say that if you didn't.
Yeah. And I'm like literally in that right now in the raising of my kids.
In your in the teen years.
Yes,
you're entering into teen
teenage
years.
Girls.
Yes.
Yeah.
right? Like my girls are emerging into their teen years and there's already things like that are coming up, that I feel like in my mama heart, I'm not ready to face, right? Difficult conversations we're already having to have that I wasn't planning to have at this point in raising my children. But it's the reality of the world we live in, right? And so we're grappling with difficult conversations that I wish was different. You wish you could keep your kids in a bubble or keep them babies, just protected. But that's not the reality. And I'm getting emotional right now talking about this.
You're making me cry.
Because, you just want to protect your kids so much from all things. But the reality is we live in this world and they're going to experience their own stumbles along the way. And like how we help them through that is so important, right? As they go through their own stumbles or trials or struggles, like I want to be there for them, reminding them of God's love, God's mercy. He is there with you in all of these things, that to never turn away from him, but to run to him, right? And that my love for you will never change, no matter what you go through, no matter the mistake you make. There's no way I could stop loving you. And so it's just funny because this is like raw right now. There's something going on in my family. And it's painful and yet it's beautiful. I literally said to Steve today, one of my girls came to me and shared with me something. And I was talking to Steve and I said, as much as I hate hearing that, her say that, I also feel incredibly grateful. She feels secure and safe enough to for her to come share that with me and know that it's a safe place and that I love her and that I'm going to help her through this struggle that she's in. And so anyway, that's what I'm excited about.
Yeah.
Is that
because not a lot of teens feel that way, for sure.
No, they hide from their mom when they have things.
Yeah. So that's beautiful.
Have things going on.
Yeah, I'm grateful for that. I'm grateful that God has allowed me to, walk the journey with my kids in a way that is from a place of I can speak and confidently knowing the Lord is our greatest teammate in this time, right?
Yeah.
He's more than a teammate.
Yeah.
He's our savior,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
But that he is always has our back, is always on our side, even when we don't feel worthy of that.
He's carrying
or whatever.
you.
Yes.
Yeah, he's carrying you.
Yeah.
Yeah. And no, thank you. This idea of protecting your children and wanting the best for your children and to be there for your children leads us to one of the greatest things that you have done, which is start a Catholic school. I tell people, I'm like, oh, my sister started a school. They're like, where do you work? And I'll tell them, I'm like, oh, my sister actually started it. They're like, you can't just say that like it's everyone just starts a school. So tell us what inspired you to start the school and what was your vision for it and where it's at and where you want it to go.
Yeah, I mean, life is crazy. You never know what is coming next. Never in a bajillion years did I ever think I would be involved in starting a school. And yet, that is exactly what God has called Steve and I to, along with some other people who have helped along the way. But all I wanted was for my kids to have an education that is rooted in faith, right? We care so much about our faith and how we live. It is literally the thing that drives every decision we make, right? Is our faith. Openness to life, having kids, what we do with our weekend, going to Mass on Sunday is a non-negotiable because that is how we live out our faith. What do we watch on TV? What movies we watch? That's also a decision that's made through the lens of our faith. Just how we live our life, all the things that we do in our personal life is through the lens of faith. And so
that's the way it should be.
And so because of that, I don't want education to be separate from that. Our education should also be through the lens of faith. So when our kids entered into their school age years, we knew it was going to be a Catholic school because that should also have your faith interwoven. And so our kids have been in Catholic school. We also considered homeschooling, but that's not really me. That's not really my personality. Anyway, so we chose Catholic school, and that's where our kids have always been. And then it kind of all came to a head
COVID time.
Yes,
honestly.
in the COVID time. Yeah. There were a lot of things that were revealed to us through that I wasn't like really aware of, right? And then decisions that were being made through the COVID time and on the heels of the COVID time really started being like a source of conflict with our faith. And so then I found myself battling with the school we were at as I was trying to defend and uphold like Catholic teaching, just the Catholic identity.
Yeah, like why do you have to fight against a Catholic school when you're Catholic?
Exactly.
Yeah. So anyway, that is like, I ended up feeling like I was in battle with our Catholic school. All I wanted was for the Catholic identity to be upheld. Right? I wanted to make sure we were Catholic at the school, and there were things that were coming up that were in conflict with that. And so it led me to a place of, in a way, a sort of despair and questioning. We pulled out our oldest child from the school, and I was homeschooling her. And I use that term loosely. It was really...
Here's some books.
Here's some books. It's a self-guided study. And then I would come and I would check her work. And then my other kids are still at that school, and I have a nursing baby, and I'm like and a preschooler who's going to school only for mornings a few times a week. And my life fell in utter chaos. And I could see that my oldest daughter felt isolated and lonely. All her friends were still at school. Her siblings were still at school, and she's stuck at home all by herself in the dining room. And I'm not even giving her the attention that she needs and deserves. So she was isolated. I just felt like a complete and utter failure.
Well, for sure. But just to backtrack for a second, you pulled her out for good reason. Like enough drama had happened in her class specifically. If the people are listening and wondering, well, why the heck did you pull one kid?
Yeah.
That makes no sense. But she was even battling that.
Right.
She was even in the fight herself because she, in her heart, she is a little bit like you and loves to
how
fight.
The apple doesn't fall far from the tree,
and
they say.
Yeah, and she was fighting for truth so young and wanted to stand for it. Just so that people know, that's
we
also
pulled
why.
our oldest out because it was like the fight was the worst in what was going on in her in her middle school.
Like very foundational things were being said that go completely against the faith. Yeah. That would just...
That's where the fight was the worst.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. Anyway, I felt really... I was just a real mess during that time, and I realized that what was going on for Olivia was not working, and so actually we put her back at the school. We put her back in so that she at least had community, and we made that decision knowing that we were giving ourselves a period of time to discern the next step. So then we launched on a search for a solid Catholic school. And the best thing we found was an hour away, and it was a classical school. And I fell in love with it. We went to that school and toured. I actually went twice. And one of those times took Steve. We learned about this. What is this classical school? I'd never heard of it. Didn't really understand what that was. I had tons of questions. And as those questions were getting answered and we were learning more about what classical was, everything inside me was saying, yes, yes, yes. This is what we need. This is what we need. This is where our kids need to go. And so then I was committed to sending them there. I was like, all right, that's it. This is where we're going. We're going to this school. And Steve's like, are you kidding? This is an hour away. And I was like, okay, that's okay. What else is there?
Yeah.
He was like, well, then we should move closer to the school. And I was like, no, I don't want to move. I don't want to lose my community. We got great friends where we're at.
Yeah.
And I was like, I'll just drive it. He's like, that makes no sense. He's like, the amount of money you're going to spend in gas, Like, that's the wear and tear on the car.
2 hours every day in the car.
Just in the morning.
Terrible.
Like, that's just in the morning.
That's just in the morning.
Yeah,
Four
it's
hours
4
a
hours.
day.
And he's like, you can't spend 4 hours a day driving. He's like, you're going to need to spend your day, like, out there. And I was like, well, that's a waste of my day. How am I going to get laundry done? He was like,
Like, exactly. So we should move.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
So anyway, that's where I was at. And I was like trying to fight for this. And Steve's like, this makes no sense. And so I'm literally crying all the time. Like, I spent a lot of tears and crying out to the Lord. These are your kids. These are your kids. And we want them to be like have an education in the faith.
Mm-hmm.
Where do we go? Like, what do we do? And in the midst of all this, our brother-in-law was saying, you should just start a school. He's like, I've done it. I've helped people start one. You should just start a school. It's not that hard. I was like, yeah, you're loony. Who just starts a school? I was like, no, not doing that. Thank you, but no. And then he was like, come on, would you just hear me out? Just hear me out on what it takes. I was like, okay. So we scheduled a phone call and I listened to him and he explained to me what it takes to start a school. And when he was all done, I said, you know what, Chris, you're right. That sounds doable. I am not doing that. And so anyway, we keep going through the school year, keep complaining, whatever. And he comes home at Christmas time with, our sister and all their kids. They come home to celebrate Christmas. Mm-hmm. And our older sister and I are just lamenting about all the problems that exist at our current Catholic school of, what was upsetting us. And he keeps saying the same thing. You should just start a school. And I'm like, Chris, you have said this so many times. We're not doing this. And go ahead.
I'll chime in here because they leave the house. I'm there for all of this. They leave and Chris goes, Rach, come here. And I tend to be a little bit like Katie and my dad, where my dad was like, yeah, why can't we go to Italy? He was like, Rach, let's start a school. And I was like, sure. I don't know what that means really, but yeah, I'm sure I'll listen to you. And so we're in the kitchen and he's like, we just need a name and a website. And he goes, listen to me. We get this small steps done. Katie's going to take it over. And I was like, great. All right, let's do it. So we literally go into the prayer room of our house and take a picture of the bookshelf with an angel statue. And he's like, oh, that's perfect for the cover photo of the website. And so we go back into the kitchen. He opens his laptop. He's like, we need a name. And so we're just like talking. And I happened to be reading about like the archangels that day. And I was like, St. Raphael. And we we're like, nah. And then it was archangels. He goes, wait, Archangels Academy. That's sick. It's done. And then he bought the domain right there on the spot.
Because he's impulsive.
Because he's crazy.
Yes.
And I was like, yeah, dude, this is amazing. Because he comes to me with his ideas because I'm like, yeah, sure. Great. I have no idea. And
so
then
you named it.
Yeah.
He bought the domain, made the website.
Yep.
And meanwhile, Steve and I are on our way to a date. We're riding in the car together. And I get a text from Chris that says, check this out.
It's a link to the website.
And so I open the link and it's a link to Archangels Academy. And I'm like, Steve, Chris is crazy. Look at this. Look at. He made a website. He started a website. Look at this. It says Archangels Academy. I'm like, oh, he's so crazy. So I call him. We're in the car on our way to our date. And I call him and I'm like, you're so crazy. I can't believe you just did that. I hope you didn't spend a lot of money on that. And he was like, come on, let me host a meeting. You just give me your contacts and I'll run a meeting and see if anyone is open to this idea. And I was like, okay, I'm game for that. So I sent him all the contacts of people who I think would be open to this idea. And he invites all of them to come to a meeting at mom and dad's house to talk about starting.
Our parents are like, Chris, why?
I know. They're like, okay, we'll serve wine.
Yeah.
So long story short, Chris hosts this meeting, tells everyone what it would take to start a Catholic school, tells them the benefits of why
how
this
many
is
people
needed.
showed up? We had a lot of people.
I don't know, probably like 20
or 30 even.
Yeah, something between there, 20, 30 people show up to listen and hear him out. And while he's talking, everything within my heart is just like saying, yes, 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 yes. This is what we need. Yes. And so at the end of the meeting, I said, if there is even just one person in this room who is willing to do this, I'm all in. And there was one person in that room willing to do that. Your sister-in-law, Jordan.
Yep.
Yeah, Kristen, she said, I'm willing to do this. And that was literally all it took for me to say, I'm in. And so from that moment, we literally were all in and steamrolled.
And this was in December.
Right after Christmas.
2022? Yeah, we're going into our fourth year open.
We just finished our
So
third
9
school year.
months later,
Yes.
they hit the ground running with doors open.
That was 2022.
And most schools take a couple of years to get going. So just incredible what God did.
That was December, and then by May or June was the gala?
Yeah, we had the gala in June to raise some money. So we had money in the bank. And then we opened our first school year, that August. So literally 8 months.
Yeah,
9
the
months.
amount of blood, sweat, and tears that Katie has put into this school, into anything you do, truly, but into this school is just insane.
Yeah, I mean, when I stop and think and tell this story, it all just sounds like it's just so crazy. It's so radical. And yet, I was just saying this, I literally said this today, to Steve. I said, I'm so grateful for archangels. I'm grateful for the community it provides our children. I'm grateful for the formation it provides our children. It's beyond words. It's been such an incredible journey of faith, truly. Because what I think of is this school specifically was an answer to prayer in my heart, Katie Joe's heart.
Yep.
God answered my prayer specifically, but Archangels is incredible because it's an answered prayer in so many hearts. And that is what God has shown me. He wasn't just answering my prayer. There are so many prayers going on of people looking for this sort of education.
Yeah.
And God is answering all of their prayers, or even the people who work for us. God is answering their prayers of a place they were longing to work, right? It's just so many layers all in one. It's such an incredible journey of faith, but I don't know, my confidence in who God is just increased through this experience. That he is such an intentional God. He's not just this God who's
at random.
Right. Or just this mammoth being who's above us, but doesn't care about the details.
Well, it's the analogy.
He cares about the details.
It's the analogy of a tapestry.
Yeah.
That your life, when you're in it, feels like, why the heck is this happening? Or why am I dealing with this? Or why is it going this way? And you're just, none of this makes sense. The backside is ugly. And it's all of this ugly.
Oh, that's true.
And you flip it over and you're like, holy cow.
That's beautiful.
That's beautiful.
So
God,
good. I love that.
It's
I
just
haven't heard that or thought of that.
It's just he's so intentional with what he's doing.
But you're right. If you look at the back of a tapestry or the back of a cross stitch or something, and then you the back is oh, that's really messy. You're right. But then you see the front and you're like, that's incredible.
And you just zoom out and it's oh, that is why I went through that. Yeah. Or why you did that, or why you let me meet this person, or why you put them in my life, and whatever. Yeah.
So true. And here we are, Archangels Academy. We just finished our third school year. We are preschool through 12th grade, which is incredible. We're located in an old public school building that we're renting, which is such a gift to us.
Yeah.
Over in Union. And we have just incredible teachers. people who are, it's true, because you're one of them. You're one of
No
them.
one could see it, but I was brushing off my shoulders, like, yeah, no big deal, it's fine.
Yeah, we do. We have,
Our staff
our
is great.
teachers are
I love our staff.
so, they passionately love the Lord.
Mm-hmm.
And that is everything.
It's true. It's fun because you know who you're, you don't even have to, know them super well. But when you're talking, you can say anything because you know that they get it or that they're on the same page in faith. You could share any story like you've shared tonight of a God moment, and they'd be like, that's incredible, and so happy, and add to it or share something too, which you just don't get that everywhere, because some people hear these stories and they're like, what?
Yes.
That happens? Your mom really just got inspired to bless you with holy water in the middle of the night? Yeah, she did.
Yeah, she did.
That's called
It's a fact.
Crazy faith.
Yes.
Okay?
It is.
Childlike faith.
Yes.
Try it sometime.
It is.
Yeah,
how do I try that?
Yeah.
Tell me how to try that.
Just tell me what to
No,
ask my children so I know things.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yes. I know. You got to pray and fast. Mom did.
Mom always
fasting.
says, a
Yeah.
praying
So much
mother knows all things.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know.
Not me being the child who prayed, God, don't tell on me. I already know what I did is wrong, and I don't need my mother to know too.
Yes.
That's what I prayed. That's what I prayed. No joke. That was my prayer. And I've asked Mom and Dad.
I never thought to pray that.
Well, because I learned from you guys that that's what I should pray for. So
that's so funny.
I
because
straight up said to Mom and Dad, have you ever gotten anything in prayer about me? They go, no. And I was like, nice, it worked.
That's hilarious. I never thought to pray that.
Yeah.
So you know how once I was getting caught over everything because I was like, how did Mom know that?
Yeah.
But I was getting caught for anything. And so then I was I would go to a party and then I would be like, I can't drink that because Mom is going to know. She just, even though she's not here, she's going to know. So I would be like, I would say yes to the beer, right?
Uh-huh.
And someone would hand me the beer. And then I would walk away and I would go dump it in the grass because I was like, if I drank that, Mom would somehow know.
It's so true. Oh, it's like the spidey sense of Mom, but it's
Spidey
just,
sense,
it's
but
just,
it was a God
it
sense.
was just her prayer life.
Divine sense.
Seriously, her
Yeah,
prayer
that's
life.
funny.
She's
So
incredible.
funny. Yeah.
Okay, so
Better share that. Your nieces and nephews might start praying. God, don't let my mom
I don't even know
know.
who knows if they'll
they
listen. Okay, just to wrap up,
Yeah.
I have just a couple wrap up questions
Yeah.
for you. So, as an overall, looking back, what would you tell your 18-year-old self?
That's a good question. Now, there's some songs that put that kind of a question in there, but to really think about and contemplate that, you know what I would tell my 18-year-old self? They're not that cool. Being cool is not everything.
Mm-hmm.
It's not worth sacrificing what actually matters to be cool. Because I cared so much about that I was willing to sacrifice what truly mattered in my heart and soul. I compromised what truly mattered to me for the sake of peer approval. But in the end, that peer approval was so empty and devoid of value. And honestly, all those kids I was striving so hard to impress, what are they in my life? They're nothing. They're not even in my life, right? It was such a fleeting thing. And I actually think of this right now with students, right? I think of this with teens that I've taught and,
Mm-hmm.
and I see that in them, right? Or even my own kids. It's not worth it. Jesus matters so much more. Yeah. If I could tell my 18-year-old, but even still, my 18-year-old self would not listen. But I wish she could see that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. For someone listening who may be battling addiction, eating disorders, or trauma, or who has and maybe is dealing with after effects of it, what hope would you offer them?
Take it to Jesus. Take it to Jesus. He has already been with you in that. He's been there for everything. He has seen all of it. He knows your heart more than you do. And he knows your emotions better than you do. He knows every aspect of you more than you know yourself and why those things are in your life, right? So just stop running. Right? Stop running.
Run to confession.
Take it to him. Take it to confession. Taking it to him looks like a lot of things. It's, number one, it's going to confession. Being real. Stop pretending and start being real with yourself.
Confession does a couple things. It's you're actually admitting it out loud to someone, yet the mercy of God is present and he is there, and it's healing.
And you need the grace.
Yeah.
You need the grace that comes from that.
Yeah.
You know, and then the other thing, so be vulnerable with yourself. Be vulnerable with yourself. Being vulnerable with yourself means admitting the area, what you need. What you need is forgiveness. What you need is healing. What you need is Jesus to help you. So go to confession, but also be vulnerable with the Lord. Just speak to him. Speak to him about these things in your life. Whatever it is, whether you need to learn to forgive yourself, or you need his forgiveness, or you need his help in overcoming the sin in your life, or you need him to help heal what's broken inside, what you can't let go of, or even when it comes to someone you need to forgive and let go, what you need to, you need Jesus.
No, yeah,
to be with you in that.
You do.
He will make you whole. Truly, he will.
Yeah,
he has filled every empty place, that I've invited him into, and I still have places that need Jesus now.
Yeah, we forever will.
Yes.
Yeah. Which can feel daunting, but don't let it cripple you.
Baby steps.
Yeah. Seriously. This is gonna be a challenge.
Okay.
If you could use one word to describe God's faithfulness in your life, what word would you say? It can't be faithfulness.
Now, the word that's coming to my mind is ever present. Yeah,
that's beautiful.
Ever present. His faithfulness is ever present.
Very good. What does surrender mean to you today?
Today, laying it down. Yeah. I have things right now in my life that I am trying to control, right? I have things right now in my life that I am wrestling through, emotions, and I think a lot of us struggle with being controlling. And whatever that means in your marriage, in your family, in your job, in your friendships, I don't know, even just in your schedule. We all want to control because control makes us feel secure, but it's a false security. And so even I just need to, I know that I need to continue to surrender all of it. Yeah. I need the Lord to teach me how to love. That's what I'm actually praying on right now. Teach me to love, Lord, and teach me true humility. True humility. Help me to see more and more the plank in my eye. That's what needs working on, is me, not other people. Plus, there's nothing I can do anyway.
You can't control other people.
So, yeah. Surrendering is, I need to just invite him into that more and more.
That's beautiful. All right, last question.
Yeah.
What do you hope people take away from hearing your story?
Well, I'm sure there are some people who will hear my story and feel scandalized at all the things they didn't realize about me, or maybe they'll say, that makes sense about this aspect of who she is. Well, that explains why she's like that. No. I hope that beyond the scandal, that people take away redemption. The story is never over. It's not over. It's never over. It doesn't matter how old you are, right? God is not done with you yet. Because God is not done with me yet. That is what wows me about the Lord, right? Who I was at 18, 22, 27. Like, God is not done with me yet. And here I am at 41. And I am wowed by the fact that, like, I have a pilgrimage business, that I have 6 kids, that I have a patient, loving spouse who's loved me through all of this, like, baggage, and then even the baggage that has had to unfold through our marriage, and the continual refinement, right, of me. That's a work. I am a work in progress. Never did I imagine the Lord would call me to starting a school, right, and being involved in that. That was never on my mind, and yet here I am at 41, and all these things are part of my story. Well, what's yet to come? I have no way of knowing, but what I do know is I'm walking with Him, and my happiest place is walking with Him. Jesus is following Him, is letting Him lead, and always going back to Him. So, yeah,
Amazing.
Where are we going next?
Yeah, I don't know. Stay tuned to find out. No, thank you so much for coming on, Katie. It was amazing to have you. Kyle called it, and this will be a part 2, or a part 1 and part 2-parter, because
I don't know how to be short and succinct.
No, this was all beautiful and
all necessary. And
all
thanks for
necessary.
your vulnerability too.
Yeah, just incredible to have you on. So thank you for being willing to come on.
No, thanks for having me. Yeah.
We will share the link to For His Glory Tour's website and Instagram, and we'll drop Archangel's link. No.
Not much on the For His Glory Tour stuff.
And we'll drop a link to Archangels, because that is your other life baby.
Yeah, my other baby, yes. And I hope that, I hope that people can, like, love me through, all that I am, right? I'm imperfect. There's a lot that comes with knowing Katie Jo, but I hope that it's all things that people can appreciate and, I don't know.
Yeah.
See the good in.
If people don't love you after hearing this, then they need to do some self-reflection themselves, some serious heart searching, because these are the kind of stories that show God's redemption, like you said, and that He is ever present. And so to have someone come on and be vulnerable and to share a story like this, there's something wrong with the person who's upset by it, right? All the saints had great stories, had radical stories, and that is exactly like what yours is, just modern day. And you are a saint in the making. You're striving for holiness. Your heart is in the right place. It always has been. And you are just trying your best to also get to heaven. So if anyone has a problem with that, then they have a problem.
So
honestly,
pray for me.
Yeah.
I'll be praying for you.
Yeah.
And may there be fruit from this podcast.
Yeah. So if you've been enjoying Wannabe Saints, we'd love your support. You can help us out by joining our Patreon, where you'll get access to extra content and bonus material like our newsletter or handmade rosaries. Words
can be hard.
Especially rosary, because Natalie told me I say it funny. And merch. Be sure to follow us on Instagram or Facebook to stay connected and see what's up and coming. And if this episode spoke to you, please take a moment to rate and review and share it with a friend. It's one of the best ways to help people to find our show. So thank you for being part of our journey.
Thanks, everybody. Thank you, Katie. Thanks for listening to the Wannabe Saints podcast.
If you have a question or topic you would like us to cover, reach out to us at wannabesaintspodcast@gmail.com or on Instagram at wannabe_saints.
You can find the link in our show notes.
Thanks for listening, and God bless.